Top 10 Vinland Saga Moments. Vikings, sea battles, and evil pirates. Vinland Saga, even though just being an action anime, has its instances of great lore, great action, and heartbreaking moments. This might not be your regular good guy versus bad guy show, so expect some twisted scenes and if not obvious, this video will contain spoilers for the entire first season. So without further ado, let's get into the top 10 Vinland Saga moments.
この決闘はあんたの勝ちだ。
Number 10. Thors Death, Episode 4. We hate to be the bearer of bad news at the beginning of this list, but number 10 is the death of Thors, the strongest Viking of all time. As Thors and his men are cornered by Askalad's gang, Thor still manages to put up a fight against not only Askalad's men, but also a mutated Bjorn. One downside for this fight is that Askalad won by pure trickery alone, even when he was defeated at the hands of Thors. One of the sadder facts about this is how Thorfinn witnessed the death of his father right in front of his eyes, and ironically, if he hadn't decided to venture on this journey in the first place, Thors would have been saved because then Bjorn would have nothing to hold hostage against Thors. The fall of this mighty Viking was one of the saddest scenes in the anime.
なお決闘の理由はトルフィンによる彼の父親の敵討ちである。以上、容赦いいはないか？
ない。
ないよ。
では、始め！
Number 9. Askalad vs. Thorfinn. Normally a battle for revenge is something that happens in the very climax of the series, and sometimes that leaves in with the protagonist becoming the clear victor of the fight. But Vinland Saga likes to take a twist on the regular cliches of anime, and in this fight, it is actually Askalad, who plays the villain in the first arc of the story, that comes in as the victor of the fight. The duel between Thorfinn and Askalad has both the levels of emotionality and excitement. On one hand, we know Thorfinn is fighting to avenge his father, but even during the first stage of the battle, we can see how Askalad is clearly going to be the victor. This duel taught Thorfinn a lesson on never to underestimate his opponent. And there was also a lot of learning he needed in combat. Subtly, this scene also managed to show how Askalad was indeed the indirect mentor of Thorfinn. If you don't believe me, think about it. You'll see I'm right. Number 8. The opening sequence in Episode 1. Let me ask you, what does a good anime need? No, not just a good premise, but a good opening sequence as well. And being an action anime, Vinland Saga delivers a stunning opening, with one of the best action sequences in the anime. The opening features Thors, the one named as the strongest Viking of that time, toppling ships full of Vikings with his blades and his fists. He also has Thorkel to support him, and the duo manages to bring down an entire army of Vikings without breaking a sweat. Oh, it was so cool. This premise managed to grip the hearts of the audience with its action and also show the potential of these two characters. Number 7. Askalad kills Bjorn, Episode 21. Bjorn might not have been everyone's favorite character, but his death was something truly heartbreaking. His death also managed to show the themes of the show and the general mindset of every Viking, that in order to reach heaven or Valhalla, you need to die an honorable death in battle. This is the reason why Bjorn asked Askalad to kill him in battle, since he believes that it is better than dying in the sick bed. Askalad, on the other hand, tries to remain emotionless and stoic, but we truly know that he killed the one and only friend he had among the Vikings. It was truly a depressing and heartbreaking moment, and something that also managed to show the deep themes of the show.
死を得て代わりに失ったもの、最も大切なもの、そしてそれは生ある限り私たちの手には入らぬもの。手には入らぬ。それでも追い求めよというのか。天の父よ。
Number 6. Knut's change of personalities. Remember how we first thought Knut was a girl? Anyone would have made that deduction after seeing the way he acted. For some time, this prince seemed to have no recovery from his childish and girly nature. But when you're with Askalad, you can change personalities with the change of seasons, with Thorfinn being the best example. Askalad, being the Machiavellian of course, launches a plan to kill Canut's guardian, and thus make the prince stand out on his own. It was a twist on the character and also served as a plot twist when Canute walked into battle between Thorkel and Thorfinn and calmly claimed that he was their prince. Once again, the author of Vinland Saga proved how great he was at writing characters.
ここがヨークか。大きな町だな。
ええ、ローマの時代から栄えている古い町です。
Number 5. Askalad's Trick. Episode 21, Opening Sequence. Here we have another scene of political intrigue. When Canute returns back to his father, the king of Vikings had to somehow plan to plot an assassination of his own son. Askalad, knowing this, launched his own mischievous scheme to protect the prince. He disguised a woman as the prince, Canute, and sailed along with him, waiting for the assassin to pop up. Just as he predicted, the assassination was done, but when the Vikings tried to save the fallen prince, they see that it was actually a woman in disguise. This shows how far-fetched Askalad was and how he had that ideal brain for politics.
しょうがねえな。俺、攻めやすくなったろ。来い、坊主。
Number 4, Askalad vs. Thorfinn. Final Fight Episode 22. Some people never learn, do they? Same can be said for Thorfinn. After Bjorn's death, he challenges Askalad for another duel, which once again ends with Thorfinn's defeat. But even when we know the outcome of the battle, why was a scene like this added to the anime? It is obvious if you pay attention to Askalad's dialogue. Just because Thorfinn managed to win against Thorkel doesn't mean he's an almighty soldier whose luck hands out every victory for him. Every time Thorfinn challenges Askalad, he still has that rage of his father's death, and this is what results in his defeat. His rage removes any strategy he has, and it is easy for Askalad to always take the advantage. This very final battle gave the very last lesson Askalad would ever give to Thorfinn. At the end of the scene, we actually end up pitying Thorfinn for his fate.
見える。大丈夫だ。
Number 3, Thorfinn vs. Thorkel, Episode 18. A barely grown assassin who grew up among the Vikings, and a man giant who is the strongest Viking and once stood side by side with Thor's. What are the chances of that little Viking assassin winning the fight? But most of the audience was impressed by how Thorfinn managed to hold his own against Thorkel, despite his size and age. Ironically, it was his size that gave him the advantage. Thorkel was the height of nearly 2 Vikings, and his weight made his movement slow, even though they were strong. Thorfinn, on the other hand, was small, and with his size he managed to dodge many of Thorkel's attacks, and even take a hasty retreat when things went the other way. Number 2, Thorkel vs. 400 soldiers. Gosh, this was so cool. Next up, we have a scene that managed to show how strong the Viking known as Thorkel actually is. Once he surrounds Canute's armies, they have nothing to do but to take their chances with the Viking. And boy, aren't their chances very low. Once you put Thorkel in the battlefield and give him his 2 axes, he turns into a killing machine. You can see how he nearly took half of the army on his own, and most of all, seemed to enjoy it while he was doing it. Now, this battle wasn't just played for the violence. It's because it managed to reveal more about the character of Thorkel, and how Vikings like him enjoy war just because of the brutality of it.
我が母より授かりし真の名を教えてやろう。ルキウス・アルトリウス・カストゥス。よこそがこのブリタニアの地を滑るべき正統の王である。今だ、俺だ
Number 1, Askalad's Death, Final Episode. Let's admit you saw this one coming, didn't you? Askalad was the villain we wanted to love in the first half of the season, and the tainted anti-hero we admired in the second part of the season. His character was witty, brilliantly written, and still stands out as one of the best anime characters of all time. His death managed to give off a neat character arc for his character, with him sacrificing himself for the continuation of the dynasty, and for the future of Prince Canute. From that badass kill of King Sven, to holding his own against the armies and fake acting like a psychopath, this scene is what held the character of Askalad at its peak. No, this isn't the heroic death you see with most anime characters, because if this didn't force tears out of your eyes, with it being the death of one of the most lovable and favorite characters of anime, then you cannot call yourself a fan of Vinland Saga. So that's a wrap, folks. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to our channel for more awesome content. We'll see you in our next video. See you soon, anime fans!